Hello and welcome to the Classical Guitar LPs podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Powell. This will be the second episode of our new season, the fifth season here, and the artist that we'll be listening to is Jose Luis Loptegui. He is a guitarist that I have just begun to get to know, and this is an exciting LP from 1971 on the Turnabout Vox label, TVS 34390. The album is Spanish guitar music of the 16th and 17th centuries. Works by Luis Milan, Alonso de MuDarra, Diego Pisador, Luys de Narvaez, and Gaspar Sanz. We'll be right back. And we're back on the Classical Guitar LPs podcast. As I alluded to in the intro, I've only just begun to learn about this guitarist on this record, Jose Luis Loptegui. This is a 1971 recording of Spanish guitar music of the 16th and 17th centuries. And so to guitar players out there, several of these pieces are going to sound familiar. You may hear that they're in different keys, etc. There's not a lot of info on the back regarding what Jose is playing on this record, but it sounds to my ear on side one, the first side, that we're hearing a guitar that's capoed up several frets, probably to about position 4 or 5. And then he is playing this on the guitar to make it sound like a Baroque guitar. It quite possibly could be that he is playing on an actual Baroque guitar, but my educated guess is that he's playing this on a 6-string. Be that as it may, we hear some wonderful pieces. Luis Milan, Fantasia. We have the Pavanas 2 and 3. We have, of course, MuDarra's Fantasia. A composer that I've not really heard of before, named Diego Pisador, Pavana Muy Lana Villanesca. And then we close off this side one with Luys de Narvaez, Siete Diferencias. And so these are, pardon my horrible Spanish, you would think I could speak Spanish a little bit better than I could. On the back of this record jacket, I am just finding some absolute treasures of information. And, you know, every now and again you look at some academic reading, and sometimes you look at it and you kind of glaze over, and sometimes you're just enthralled with what you're reading. In this case, this is definitely the latter. I am just finding the information on the back of this record jacket wonderful. I wish I would have had this record jacket in my possession when I started my own studies back in 1995 down at Simpson College in Indianola. It's just amazing. So I will be reading, rereading, and reading again, as I tell my students to do that with their information in their academic classes. Just find things in here about both stylistic and cultural items from Spain in this era, and then also regarding the actual work. It's just absolutely amazing. For example, what I might share with you here is just this sort of snippet from about the middle of the record jacket. This is regarding Luys de Narvaez. Of the 10 books of tablature for the vihuela that were published in Spain between 1535 and 1578, Luys de Narvaez wrote the second one, published in Valladolid in 1538 with the title Lois Libro Delfin de Musica, the 6 books by the Delphin of Music. This work, as the title suggests, is divided into 6 books, of which the first 2 consist of 14 fantasias written in the polyphonic style, giving ample evidence of the composer's broad palette of colors and exquisite musical shades, and his lively sense of rhythm. The third book consists of pieces arranged for the vihuela, and the fourth has religious hymns. Villanesco's melancholy romances and instrumental variations make up the last 2 books, from which the present recorded set of delightful variations on an anonymous vocal theme, Guardam las vacas, Keep Watch on the Cows, is taken. And I just find this great. So often I speak from the perspective of a classical guitarist. You know, guitar players have to sort of always translate. That was my experience anyway, translating the musical education experience into their own instrument. What I mean is, harmony is taught in terms of the piano always. And then depending on the actual school that you go to, you know, your music history and that sort of thing, there may be a snippet or two about certain notable figures like John Dowland, etc. But to get specialized like this, I find to be very, very exciting. And so just wonderful stuff to read. And as my music instructors always said, read, 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 those liner notes on those recordings, you find out so many great nuggets of information with that. And so very interesting things. I think we hear some wonderful playing on this side one as well. And I think Jose Luis Loptegui is a great guitar player. Found out by reading this record jacket that some of the reasons why are that he was a student of Emilio Pujol. Emilio Pujol may be of note to you, but if you haven't quite heard his name, you would know who Emilio Pujol's teacher was, and that was Francisco Tárrega. So in terms of a teaching lineage, it's very direct. We would have Francisco Tárrega, then Emilio Pujol, then Jose Luis Loptegui, and that's really cool. Not often do we have to be able to be so close to one of the master composers of our genre, so awesome. I think it's also notable to say that the guitarist on this recording started off his collegiate studies going to engineering school and then abandoned that to pursue music. In 1961, began those musical studies and then was awarded was awarded an award from the Music Conservatory of Barcelona, the prize of Honor de Música de Cámara from Narcisco Yepes, and so became to be friends with Narcisco Yepes, and so just some giants of the Spanish guitar scene in the in the middle of the 20th century. My goodness. And so we'll take it away. Enjoy side one of this Spanish guitar music of the 16th and 17th centuries. I think you'll hear some old favorites of the Renaissance stuff and also some hopefully new pieces that you haven't heard just quite yet. Enjoy. I think what I enjoy so much about this gentleman's guitar playing is just sort of the decided nature in the way that he interprets and plays the instrument. There's a real command and a real sense of deep knowledge, and you can sort of hear the love and passion for this art form coming through in the music. At least I think it's very prevalent, and I think that's one of the reasons that I like this recording so much. Sometimes when classical guitarists perform Renaissance music, it's almost this sort of artificial nature, and we don't have any of that with this fellow's playing. So what a wonderful recording this is, and I cannot wait to share with you side 2. Before we go on, remember side 1 finishes with the Narvaez, and so we've got a set of theme and variations here, basically is what we would call them now. What I really like about this, again, this record jacket, all this information. Narvaez introduced the variation form differencias into Spanish music at a time when it was yet unknown in other countries. Wow, that's sort of cool. I know that in one of my classes here that I'm teaching this semester at the community college, here at the West Campus, at the DMAC West Campus, very soon we'll be starting to talk about theme and variations, and it's exciting to know that this music of Luys de Narvaez was on the forefront of that before, and so in any case, sort of fun to know about that. So enjoyable piece with that, and then we finish off the recording with several works by Gaspar Sanz. So we have a piece I was not familiar with, Capricho Harpeado por la Cruz, and that is translated as the Harp Capriccio for the Cross. Absolutely stunningly gorgeous work, and so I really appreciate being hear this. We hear then the Pavanas para la D, and then we have Suite Española. Now, a lot of the numbers to guitar players out there for Suite Española are going to sound familiar, and the reason for that is, of course, many of those tunes were taken and then adapted by Rodrigo for the Fantasia para un Gentilhombre, and so these pieces are going to sound very familiar for that exact reason. So once again, thank you for joining us on the Classical Guitar LPs podcast. If you're so inclined, please take a look at anchor.fm/Powell Guitar. If you're interested in supporting the show in any sort of way, there are multiple ways. You can share that show with your friends. You can click on any of the links and become a donator to the show. There are different monthly plans that are offered by Anchor, and so I would ask you to take a look at that and check out how you can give to the program for that. Check us out on social media. We can be found at Instagram.com/Powell Guitar. I also can be found on Twitter /Powell Guitar, as well as Facebook.com/Powell Guitar. Happy listening. Enjoy side 2. We'll see you for the next episode.